like, just because you're a little tipsy making plans doesn't mean that you can't follow up and be like, hey, like, let's do that.
Right. But I think that's I think that's such a good point. Like, make the Chardonnay plans. Just make them. Just do them. Because I don't think after hanging out, anyone's ever like, oh, well, that was a big waste of my time. Mostly you're like, that was such a good time.
But yeah, make those Chardonnay plans and only hang out with people that fill your cup.
Good advice. That's great advice. That's great
And
advice.
Show up.
Welcome to A Village in Progress. I'm your host, Alexis. Village in Progress is a weekly call between friends practicing meaningful connection in a world increasingly shaped by technology and AI. Each week, we'll share stories and insights from decades of friendship and explore the rituals and habits that have helped them thrive. We'll talk about the importance of the friendships we have and the ones we hope to build in the future. This is a space for honest talk and hopeful imagination about what it means to care, belong, and build community. I hope you'll join us because thriving villages aren't found. They are built intentionally together. Hey, it's Lex. Hope you're having a great day. Give me a call when you can. Bye. Welcome, Jen.
Hi. Thanks.
Hi. So I really want to thank you for agreeing to do this. I know when I asked my friends to participate in this journey with me, I realized this is out of a lot of people's comfort zones. So I really appreciate you trying something new and doing this with me.
I think I listen to enough podcasts. I might as well try to be on one.
Right? I mean, I feel like we listen to a lot of podcasts. So
I do.
Yeah. When I think about you as a friend to me, I was thinking I probably met you when I was like 19 or 20 years old.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You're 2 years younger than I am, right?
Yeah, I just turned 42.
Okay, I'll be 44 in March, so yeah.
Yeah. And so that means you and I have been friends for like 22, 23 years.
I know. It's crazy. I hate that we've actually gotten to that part in life where that's the case.
Right. It doesn't feel like we're old enough to have friends that are that we've been friends with for that long.
I know. It really is like crazy. But it started in college. Like I remember you a little bit from college, and then like it was JHP that really like launched us.
Right. Well, I was thinking about it. So when I think about the very first time we met, I can't remember the exact moment that we met, but I remember what I think was my first JHP event.
Okay. What was that?
Do you remember the time we actually like met? We must have been introduced from Ian because I knew Ian.
I remember like Ian being like really involved, and he definitely got you involved. So I like know it was a JHP event, but I don't remember the exact event. But I would have been a senior probably, and they were like, I was still kind of involved doing events, and you probably were just recruited. It was probably like a barbecue or
so the first event I remember was maybe at like Harris's apartment. It was an apartment in Fairmount, but like on the Circle.
Okay.
And I don't even remember if Ian was there. He must have been there because I think it must have been the first thing, but it was a dinner. So I can't remember if I went with Ian or I had met you and you were like, come to this. And I said, okay. If I
had to guess, Ian brought you, because that was the whole JHP model, is like friends bringing friends.
Right. That they bring. And so I just remember being in this kitchen, putting food in the oven, taking food out, switching all this stuff, and then like hanging out, in the living room and meeting everybody. But it was like an older crowd than like what ended up being like our JHP crowd. But it was like,
was it like
your
Molly
friend.
and Dave and Brooke?
Yes.
Okay. So was it Parktown Place?
Yeah, it must have been, because it wasn't.
So it must have been my apartment then, because I used to live at Parktown Place on the Parkway.
Was it your apartment?
It could have. I mean, Dave lived there too, but my guess is it probably would have been mine.
I just remember shoveling chicken in and out of this oven in the.
I think it was mine actually then, because it was was the table kind of like in the, like there was a galley kitchen and there was like a table in the back corner
and a living room. I remember like a couch with like a living room and a TV against the wall, and then like the table behind that.
Yeah. So I think this was my apartment. Yeah, I lived at Parktown Place for my sophomore and junior year because Temple had their like housing crisis, and they had that shuttle that went to campus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that must have been where it was. I only really associate you on Bainbridge and, in the south of Philly.
Well, I
But
moved there my senior year of college, so I lived
so right
like since then.
after.
I like lived
But
in
I
that
remember
neighborhood.
that was like the first event that I think I went to. And then after that, I think I just followed you to like every other event or like with Ian and them. But I just remember like you just being there for like every single event. So when I think about how my journey started in Philly, which is like when I moved to Philly and went to Temple, you and Ian are like part of those core memories. And then I just hung out with like you and Susan forever.
Yeah, you were because Susan was like out of like she worked for JHP. She was our like fellow.
Right.
And I moved in with her my senior year.
Into the
Um,
JHP Bainbridge house that
Yes, and
everybody
she didn't.
lived
I
in.
remember her not wanting it to like be a JHP house. Like she was a little bit like, "Am I really living with one of my students?" But I needed a place to live. They needed a roommate. It was like that. It was a party house. Remember how like my
Yeah.
bedroom was basically the size of a studio apartment?
It
Like
was
a whole
huge.
like I had like a futon couch and like a coffee table in my bedroom.
It was huge. It was huge.
Yeah.
And then we had that party and where we dressed up. I don't know like how outfit even came to be.
I actually think I remember shopping with you for that outfit. I think we went to the Franklin Mills Mall and you bought it at like Charlotte Rue.
So for reference, I was Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman, but like when she was a prostitute.
I think it must have been an 80s theme party.
That was
because
my
whatever outfit I
costume,
was
and
wearing was 80s.
Yeah, and I went because the next day Susan and I had to go to some JHP thing, so I went to the party and stayed over.
Didn't you drive to Pittsburgh?
Yes, the next day we like drove to Pittsburgh. Yeah, but that was like I remember getting dressed and like in your room in your apartment in the house.
Because it was massive. Yeah. And you like used like a safety pin. It was like a
Yes.
white crop top and a blue like mini skirt. And you used a safety pin to connect like, so it had those like cutouts like she did
Yeah,
in Pretty
and
Woman.
I
You
had the
wig and
wig.
everything because you love a wig.
I love a wig. I love a wig. I still love a wig. And I had that. And I remember I didn't really know that many people at the costume party. And so it was a Halloween party. And
But that's always your personality. You're always down for like whatever. If you don't know a lot of people, you're like, sure, I'm down. Let's go.
yeah,
Let's
and
check
no
it
one
out.
knew who I was. They were like, who is this? And I was like, I don't know. Who am
I thought
I?
you nailed it. I thought you nailed the costume.
It was pretty good. So we'll have some pictures in a slideshow after. And Jen and I both have some pictures of that night. So I'll make sure those are included so nobody misses out on these costumes.
Maybe somebody else can decide like what I was because I don't know.
Oh. But when I think about some of my most fun memories in Philly, like you're there. And as I was preparing for this, I was like, geez, Jen is part of like some very core, awesome memories I had. Like you are the reason that I got to really partake in when the Phillies won the World Series. That was the biggest sporting event, like celebration of my entire life. Because I am not a huge sports buff, but
I
Jen
make other
is.
people like.
And she went to like when she wasn't at the game in the same seats. She went to this bar.
It was the bar. It was the barge.
And you sat in the same
Yeah.
seats.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep, me and
you
Ken Finn.
invited us to come to like what ended up being the second to the last game, I guess.
Yeah, well, because
Because
that
we
was
had to
the
go
year that
back
the
the next
Phillies,
day.
Yeah, no, there was a 2-day rain delay.
Yes.
There was a 2-day
And-
rain delay.
So we're in the seats and like we're there.
Oh,
and
I have those pictures somewhere too. Oh, that's
I
such
think
a
I have
shame.
some of those pictures
Okay.
somewhere. Jen has pictures of every moment of my life
love a
from the
picture.
age of 19 until 27.
I love a good picture, and like I liked because to me it like captures a moment in time, and these exact like things. It's so fun to like go back and be like, do you remember that night? What was I wearing? Like, what did we
Right?
do? And like see the ridiculous like faces. Or when even in college I was obsessed with pictures, like back when we had like actual film. I had this job that we obviously Thursday night, big night out, you'd go out, I'd bring my camera. And on Friday, I'd have to be at this like law firm I worked at 8 a.m. And I would go into the CVS for hour development before I went into the office and get the doubles so I could get
Right.
out.
Drop the
And at
prints off,
lunch,
drop the
I would
film.
go over so I could go through and like look at all my pictures.
I miss
And
that
I have
kind
a
of.
million photo albums from it too.
I know. And when we went to dinner recently, Jen pulled up like her Google Drive and there was literally like the history of our lives for the last 20 plus years, me and everybody else she's known. And I think that's amazing. I used to have so many photo albums but then it's like, how do you lug all those around? You know, it just became like a little tiresome to have. But I love that we have so many pictures. And you know what I love is that we weren't looking at them right after to filter them out. So we have like some great candid pictures
For sure.
that otherwise
for sure.
would have probably been deleted because we don't look that great.
Like
in
the
them.
one shot. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the one
Like
shot. No, I have like so many printed photo albums downstairs. And to your point, I've lugged them around so many times, but like it is fun to like I went into a rabbit hole because I was looking for that picture of us from the Halloween. And then like next thing I know, it's like 20 minutes. I'm like, you've got to go do something else.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and like flip through your pictures forever.
I did the same. I was looking at pictures and I looked through my Facebook and then I went to your Facebook, and I have to say that I'm very impressed at the way you've categorized all these albums of everybody like way back into like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't think I do it as much anymore, but I used to I was a big like Facebook album and titling it and everything.
It was super easy. I was like, oh, I was at that event. Let me check this out. Let me see like what pictures.
Everything had a title.
Remember.
Everything had a title, and you had a tag. I know. I love a good picture, and I have like pictures of friends and everything like all over my apartment and like on my fridge because it's fun to like look up and smile and like relive those moments.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Phillies game. So we're at the bar. It gets rained out. I guess a 2-day delay. And then Jen's like, all right, everybody who was there has to come back for this game. And you have to sit in the same seat. Like you have to. Like, even if you guys don't want to come, you got to come. And we were like, okay.
It's the juju.
Yeah.
You can't mess up the juju.
But
It's a real
we
thing.
went and like, within the first inning, like we were there 10 minutes and they won.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't 10 minutes. It started in the 5th inning, but like, it was a tight game. It probably felt that way because the games went so late to midnight. but
Yeah,
that one,
I don't know.
like,
For me, I was
ended
like,
early.
we
Yeah.
just won.
Yeah.
We
Do you
won.
remember I wore the same red sweater too because that was the sweater
I mean,
that
literally,
they
Jen was
won
like,
in.
whatever you were wearing, whatever you did has to be the exact same, and we have to sit in these same seats. And so
still
you
do
got
that
there
now,
early to
for
like
the
make sure you
record.
had the seats, or maybe the bartender was like, sorry, these are reserved. I don't remember.
Oh
'Cause
no,
you were there for everyone.
we would get there early, but the bartender would make sure, and there was these teachers that would also go, and like, cause I would go with Ken Finn, remember? And like, we would kind of battle with them and then over our seats, but then they became like our like best friends later that year because after the Phillies won, we started going back for Eagles games. And when the Eagles games were over, we were like, well, what are we going to do on a Sunday now? So that bartender started doing bad movie Sundays.
Oh,
And
I
he would play
remember that.
he would play bad movies like Big Trouble in Little China. And
Yeah.
I would make
It's a great
popcorn. The
movie.
teachers would bring candy.
I
and
remember
we'd,
you
like,
got Jen's like, I'm bringing popcorn to the bar. I remember that. So
I think
day
that's what
one,
started my love of Sunday fun days.
the bar like erupted and we went ham. Like we just went nuts. And I remember thinking, wow, this is such a cool moment that I'm here for. And as someone who's, again, not that into sports, but really there for big moments, when I tell everybody, oh, I was in Philly when they won the World Series and I was at this bar and I was with my friends, and you are just like, you created that moment for me. You like made that happen for me to feel like I was a part of it.
I like that's my thing though. I like bringing people together. That's why like GHP was like such like a great like organization for me to get involved with and then work with, because my favorite thing is just like bringing people together.
And you did. You know, I was also thinking about, so there's a lot of memories of you that come to mind, but one that I forgot that I thought was pretty hilarious, actually.
I'm a little nervous.
You were the first person to introduce me to waxing.
I was.
I had never gotten waxed, my bikini. And you were like, I have this girl, and she was in the Rittenhouse.
Yeah. Oh,
and you,
Mila.
Yes. And you made an appointment with me. And not only did Jen tell me about this, but you were in the room.
With you?
You went with me.
I did. I remember that now.
And you were standing there talking to me. I have like, no, I'm just naked, basically. And this woman's talking to me, and Jen's there because I was nervous because I had never gotten waxed before. And I just thought, I bet not too many people had a friend in the room with them the first time they got waxed.
Forgot about that. Your memory is insane. Like it really is. When we had dinner when I was out in LA and you and George were like going over stories, I'm like, I thought I had a good memory, but your memory is insane.
I just remember these like highlight reels in my life, and when I think about my friends, I think about all the wacky stuff we got into, and
we were
all
young.
The things. We were really young, and we had like no responsibility. We had a job that was like super flexible. We all had like these, if we weren't in college, we had these jobs that were very flexible and allowed us basically to socialize for our work.
That was our entire job when we were at GHP. Like we were paid to like put events on and like parties, and like, especially when you had to deal with the college students. I had to like, my whole thing was like planning events for like our age people. So
right.
like, you know, and it was super flexible. Like if we came over hungover, it wasn't a big deal. If we came in late, if like, I mean, we didn't even work on a Friday. I feel like we rolled in at 10 and like left at 1.
I know but we got the jobs done, you know, yes, like when it was time to work, we worked and we got the jobs done, but we just had so much fun working with each other, and those jobs were meant to be like a 1-year job, and we all turned them into like our like midlife careers.
I was there for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I like didn't want to leave.
It was so fun. It became like a family. And I remember also specifically this one time that this one student got very upset with me. I'm not going to name any names because if she heard my name today, she probably still would not like me very much. She was dating and now is the wife of a friend that also I'm not friends with anymore. Do you remember?
No, you'll tell me later.
But she got really upset with me over something,
and text me.
And she called the office and was trying to complain about me. And you got on the phone and you were like, "Listen, Alexis did nothing wrong. I've talked to her in depth about the situation, and I'm really sorry that you feel this way. But please do not call and badmouth her to this office." And I was like, "Yeah, Jen. Go, Jen. Thank you."
This is why when I left JHP, I was in client relations, because you just got to like sometimes put people in a little corner.
Yeah. So, but you just always like had my back, and you were always trying to include everybody in anything and introduce all the people that you knew. You also introduced me to someone who started doing my eyebrows, that woman from your pool who worked at that spa.
Oh, Sam.
Who did eyebrows. And I still remember what she told me today about like filling them in and all this stuff. So like, I feel like you know, introduced me.
I wish I could create a career of just connecting people.
I think you probably can.
Let's figure that out.
We should brainstorm that. We should definitely brainstorm that.
I got a person for everyone.
You would kill it in that job of just connecting people to different people.
It's my favorite thing to do. It really is.
But I think the thing that when I think about you, I think
Okay.
one of the things that jumps out to me most is that in times of like crisis or loss, you rally everybody and you're always there. Like you always know like what to do, who to call. I remember like when our friends like grandparents died or like anything or anybody needed anything, you were always somebody who like jumped in, and when things were sad or like I said like someone was sick, like you just like were always there. Like no questions asked. And when I think about you, that's like the thing I think that sticks with me the most is like when the chips are down, Jen will be there. She doesn't like run away. She doesn't do anything. She gathers everybody. She calls everybody. She gets to wherever she needs to go. Like no questions asked. Like you're there.
Oh, well, that's really, I'm glad that's how you think about me. But that's like the point of friendship, is to make sure like it's not just the good times, it's the bad times too. Like,
Yeah. But you just were always there. And I remember like when our friend was sick in the hospital, I remember we went and I must have looked really nervous or something like that. And you just looked at me and you were like, it's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And I was like, okay, like, all right. And you were always very comforting and always showed up like in those moments and kind of, I looked to you, I think, in how to act in those moments when I look back on it.
oh,
And
that's really nice
when
for you to
people need
say.
help now, I think like you do want to be the friend, the type of person and the type of friend that shows up when your friends need you, not just like you said, when it's for fun. So
Yeah, it's important. And I'll say that like I'm glad that's how you think of me. And maybe that's like I felt like my friends have been there for me when the chips have been down for me personally. And I guess maybe that's why, because that's an important attribute to have, so that when you need it, your community's there too. I think that's part of our like obviously I think that's part of the beauty. All of our friendships came out of an organization, a Jewish organization, and I think that's part of like the Jewish community, and is that it teaches us like how to be there and what to do to support. Or at least community is a huge part of it.
it's really funny when I talk to Lee, my husband, about all of my friends in Philly. He's like, I wish I had a Jewish community. I'm like, you're not Jewish. He's like, I know, but maybe I should have been. And I was like, he's like, you have so many friends from either like camps or from other things that like just you guys are still friends and you still talk, and the way you talk about them was that you guys had this big group of people. And he's like, I never had that. And we talk about like my daughter, and he's like, I want her to have that. Like I want her to be involved and to have that, because he's like, I wish I'd had like a Jewish community to be like a part of or something like that. And it is true. I mean, I feel like when I lived in Philly and during that time, we like knew everybody, and we brought a lot of people together for a lot of different events, and we could go anywhere and do anything, and felt like we at least had a few people that we knew when we got there. And I really felt like it was interesting, because when I moved back to LA and as I settled into life, I didn't have that. And I think I really took that for granted in certain ways, because I didn't even have to think about it. It was just there.
I think you knew that when you were moving. I remember when you were debating about if you were going to move or not. You're like, my parents are there, but I have because you had such a strong community. I remember you being like, I don't want to leave everyone. And I actually remember saying to you, like, you can always come back. We're not going anywhere. Like, if you go to LA and you're not happy, you can always come back.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah,
you can still, like, you're not
did.
moving back, but you could come back and spend a week here. And people, I mean, even look at like when I was out in LA and George is there now, we're like, hey, do dinner with us. And it was like, we hadn't seen each other in a while. You hadn't even talked to George in a really long time. And it was like,
no,
we like, the dinner flew by. Like no one missed a beat. We were just like right back in flow as we were 20 years ago.
I know. At the end of that dinner, I was like, what bars are we all going to go to? Where are we going to go out? What are we going to do?
I know. You
And
had to drive
it
home.
did.
It's like, we got to plan this better next time.
Yeah. No, it was so fun.
Yeah.
So when you think of your village now, like when you think about who's in your village, who do you think about that's because you have a lot of friends and a lot of friend groups.
I do have a lot of friend groups, and I'm very lucky that way. And it's something that like I don't take for granted. And so it's funny, some of my like village is from that community of those JHP years. It's like, you know, there's the George, Josh, and Dan group, and like now Dan Vogel and Katie live a block and a half from me. And they are like 100% my village. Like sometimes we joke that I'm their third child, but like they are always there. They've become best friends with my brother, and that whole group. Like Lauren Collier lives around the corner for me too. Like that whole group. Obviously, you know, it was difficult when we all lost Josh, and I think that brought us even closer together, and it like built a stronger village because we want to be there for Jess. But so I still have that village. I also like built some other groups of friends because of just the direction my life went. I didn't go the like marriage and kid route. So I think that there was a natural separation during the time when like my friends were like in it with the young kids and not knowing what to do and like whatever. So I had to like naturally find other friends that were not like in that level of life, other like single women, like, and that's kind of how I ended up in St. Thomas too, and built that whole group of like my village down there. Even from the JHP days, like Steph and Caitlin, I think they're my village too. Like I'm very lucky that when things are not okay, if one person doesn't answer the phone, I can go down a list. But my relationships are important to me. I come from a little bit of a crazy family. Thankfully I'm like super close with my brother these days, but like my family is all over the place. So I think that's why I've always leaned into my friends, because they need to be my family. And my fun fact about myself that I love to tell people all the time is that I didn't have any friends in high school. Like I just,
really?
I had zero friends in high school. I like didn't talk to anybody. It was like, my mom did not necessarily give me the best confidence. So I kind of just, because of that, like kept to myself. And I think where I grew up, I always knew wasn't exactly my cup of tea. And I think I always thought like when I got to college, I was going to like start new and I would meet new people. And I did. I fell into like JHP and a group of people and stuff like that. But I think that's why I'm always into bringing people together and like keeping up the friendships, because I don't want anyone to ever feel left out. And I want to create that inclusion and invite people because, I didn't love I'm a social person, and and so it was difficult for me in high school. I hated high school because like I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have a lot of friends, and so I always want to create that connection still, because I don't want people to feel the way I felt. But yeah, everyone's
really
always surprised
nice.
when I'm like, I didn't have any friends in high school.
Because you have more friends than anybody I know, but they're friends
overcompensated.
Yeah, but I think we should talk a little bit about like how you developed those friendships, because you put yourself in a lot of social places. Like you joined the pool, which in Philly, like there was no pool. So there was like this pool in the city that was
my LSC
very
ladies.
cool.
That's a village too, that group.
And Jen joined like this pool group. And so you were constantly putting yourself out there in a way that I don't think many people do. And then you also give a lot, like you show up for people so they keep inviting you and then you do that. So like, is that something you just were like, I'm just going to join this group, or I'm going to like do this? And how do you put yourself out there in a way to become part of the group, of a new group?
I think that like, I don't think it was ever just like a conscious decision. I think I just would like the pool, it was a pool to join. And it was actually like, I joined through my aunt. And in the first couple of years, I was like sitting in the corner with all of her friends. And then like I was the only one my age there. And I eventually like ventured up to the bar. I'm like, these are my people. Let's go like drink around. And like you just start talking to people and you're like, they're cool. So you hang out again and you make plans. I follow up. Like, you know how they like, somebody once called it like Chardonnay Plans. Like after a couple drinks, you're like, we should do this. Yeah. And everyone's like, yeah.
Jen actually does them. You do the Chardonnay plans.
Because I love a plan. I love activities to do. Like, you know, and I think it's also because, like, you know, I've held different relationships in life, but I've probably been single more than I haven't. So, like, my friends are also, like, my companions because, you know, if I don't make a plan, then I'm just, like, I have to make a plan to do things.
To do things, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm always, like, that's why I, like, always throw, like, my different theme parties, like the blind. Did you ever go to any of my blind wine tasting parties? I may have started that after
I went to one.
Like where you like blindly taste just who brought the best bottle?
I think I went to one at someone's house.
I was probably just starting it before you left.
Yeah, I think I went to one and I don't know why. I remember being in this house with a ton of art on the wall. Like so much art.
Oh, Elijah's house. It was at Elijah's.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember that guy. Yes. It was at his
that was
house.
the other thing. I would make other
house.
people like host the parties that I wanted to throw.
Yes. It was at his house. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, because you blindly taste as to who brought the best bottle and then you win a case of wine. It was great. Yeah. But I had a platform.
That was before my palate, you know. I think we had just gone up from like boxed wine to, you know, the wine party. So I don't know that I knew the difference.
It's funny because I still throw that party now, but like when I threw it back then, it was like bring a bottle of wine between $8 and $12, and now it's like now I'm like bring a bottle of wine between like $20 and $30.
Yes,
or two
Go
bottles
up a little bit, please.
Yeah. And before it was like bring any wine. Now I have it like honed into like California Pinot Noirs.
That's a fun party idea.
Yeah, you should totally throw it. It's a great way to bring people together too, because it's like, it's just, everyone brings 2 bottles for the listeners. Everyone brings 2 bottles of the exact same bottle in one theme where you set like California Pinot Noirs and you set a price point. One bottle is covered up in a brown paper bag and given like a number, and the other bottle is put in a box in the end. And then you go around and like blindly taste all the wines, and you just take notes yourself as to what you like and what you don't like. And at the end, everyone votes as to who brought the best bottle and who brought the worst bottle. If you brought the best bottle, you get the whole second case that's in the back. But if you brought the worst bottle, you have to take your bottle home because no one wants it, and you host the next one.
And you host the next one.
Yeah. And everyone brings a little snack, so it's like a communal party. Yeah. So I have a group of the LSC ladies. I do it with them. We do it every spring and every fall. We do whites in the spring and reds in the fall. We discovered that all rosés kind of taste the same. Like all good rosés, we determined all taste around the same. That party kind of fell flat, so I don't recommend rosés.
No, white or red. What other kind of events are you throwing or a part of?
These days, I feel like as I age, I'm like happier, like doing less. But no, I mean, I'm still, Soup Club's a new one that I've done recently, where everyone,
Soup Club.
Yeah, you bring a big vat of soup. Like, so like you make a big vat of soup, and then depending on how many people come, you bring like 8 individual containers, and then you swap. So you go home with like everyone's like soups.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Especially in the winter.
Yeah. We don't tend to do it in the spring or something like that, but like we
you could have a gazpacho.
You could do a gazpacho, but then you're gonna have like 12 of the same gazpachos or something like that.
Yeah, how many different gazpachos are there?
Yeah. It's funny, but I definitely feel like there's like different Instagram trends or something like that, because there's always a couple like soups that overlap, but they're all really good, and it's just like an excuse to get people together and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, we used to have dinner club that kind of like faded out, but we still like make people, so every once in a while somebody will just grab a reservation and be like, who's in? Let's do this.
Well, I'm starting a dinner club with George now, so we have plans.
That. Well, George used to be part of dinner club, and then he But then he left us for California, and we're still mad at him for it, but we understand. I'm seeing him this
Well, now I
weekend.
get him.
Yeah.
So
you
we
do.
have plans at the end of the month, and I just sent him a number of different restaurants that I also want to try. So I hope that we're just going to work our way down through all the restaurants.
I love that.
And
I
then
love that.
maybe we'll invite other people, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm seeing him this weekend. He's in for a bat mitzvah that we're both invited to. So we're yeah. I did not realize that bar bat mitzvahs was going to be a second phase of my life.
It's like the second wedding. It's like all your friends you did the wedding phase.
Yeah.
And now you're doing all their kids bar mitzvah.
I know. I'm still showing out more presents.
Did you register for yourself for one of your birthdays, or was that an idea you were going to do?
It was an idea I was going to do for my 30th. But in the end, I just sent it to my cousins for some reason. But I did get presents from them, and I don't regret it because now I'm still like giving their kids gifts, and like I went to all their weddings and showers and all the things. For my 40th, I did not register because everyone was flying to St. Thomas for it. So like I figured people were getting hotels.
Can you imagine like thinking your 30th birthday was like so big you were going to register?
It was more because like I'm like, well, I'm not getting married, or I don't see marriage in my future anytime soon. Turned out I was right. That like I wanted to, and everyone still laughs at me because I say that like my 40th, I went really big on my 40. I had already like basically part-time moved to St. Thomas, and I said like, what if my birthday was down here? And it was 2022, so everyone was like past like over COVID, and their kids were old enough they can leave it at home. So 33 friends flew down.
Not mine. My baby was too new. I was like, I can't leave. I'm like attached to the boob to this child.
But you made the book. You made the book because they, Steph and Caitlin put together, they had everyone submit photos through the years. Yep. And then actually George and Josh presented it to me. And then everyone signed it and stuff like that. And Josh went through and put like a heart over his face. It makes me happy every time I see him. So for the listeners, unfortunately, Alexis and I had a mutual friend that passed away a couple years ago. So we're always still
I can't believe that's a couple years ago already.
It's been 2 years. It's crazy.
So the St. Thomas thing makes me think, and the bar bat mitzvahs, because you also travel a lot for your friends. Like Jen isn't just like there for the convenient. How do you keep all of these things straight, and how do you like keep up the energy to do all of these things for everybody?
It goes back to like not having kids. Like this is the lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a big one.
Like I have the disposable income and the time to like decide last minute to like get on a plane, and I have other friends like my friend Jen. She's the one who I first went down to St. Thomas with. She was my client, and it just turned into a great friendship, which was like unique because we never actually lived in the same city. So we started like, she lived in DC and then she moved to Nashville, and I was like, Nashville's a great place to go visit you. I'll come down. And we went down to St. Thomas during COVID, and we were supposed to stay for 6 days, and we didn't leave for like 6 months. Basically.
Yeah, you were there it was like Jen's in St. Thomas.
Everyone thought I moved there.
Down there?
I kind of did. Like sometimes I still run into people and they're like, "You live in Philly now?" I'm like, "I never really left. I was just back and
lived there,
forth."
but you stayed a long time."
No, it was like one of those things. Like we were all like a little COVID fatigued, especially like on the East Coast where like you had your pod and it was super strict, and down there like the vaccine hadn't come out yet, but everything was outside, so it just felt safer. And it was like this unique situation where Jen and I like met this guy who needed to leave island because his mom was sick and he needed a dog sitter. And I still remember saying to Jen, "Are we really staying here and watching this random guy's dog?" And she's like, "What else are we doing?"
Yeah.
He eventually became a good friend, but like and we started meeting other people just from being around, because it's ultimately like a really small town. And we kept booking our ticket on a Monday, and every time Sunday would come around and something would happen that like we just wouldn't, like we'd move our ticket again.
Want to leave? Like, nah, tomorrow's not looking good for me.
And there was always a place to stay. And like even I had to come home at one point for something, and then I flew back, and then like I don't know, I like moved in with my friend Margaret. I still don't like understand how. Like I had like a whole closet of stuff there. Even when I was there like last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever I was there, like I had to like go to my friend Amy's and pick up my bag because I like keep sneakers and stuff down there. But it's all like, again, it's the way you find parent friends in Lucy's activities and classes and stuff like that. Like I found friends of people who are also like women who have the disposable income and the means to like pick up and travel. And because we all live in different places, it's like, well, somebody has to get on a plane to see each other. So obviously I have no problem going to see them in St. Thomas. Twist my arm. Why not? But
Right.
it's also like, we had friends that had significant birthdays last year. They're like, want to go to France? Yes, I want to go to France and taste champagne for your birthdays. I'm down for that. Like, why not? Like, one of our friends down there is a competitive. She competes in skeleton. That's where you're insane and you lay head first and go. Yeah, completely insane. She's part of the Olympics this year, but she was doing the World Cup or something like that in San Moritz, Switzerland. And we're like, yeah, let's go. Like,
That's awesome.
why not? Like, what else are we doing? And so like we went through Lake Como and then we went up to San Moritz, Switzerland, where it was like the Snow Polo World Cup. If you ever want to see real money in life, Alexis, I highly recommend
that sounds fancy.
Oh, I mean, we sat at dinner one night and there was these guys next to us and one of them was telling us how he was competing the next day. And we had already learned, he was from Argentina, and we'd already learned that you need at least 5 horses for a polo match because the horses can't like survive like a whole match.
True?
And I was,
Every rider goes through like 5 horses?
5 horses in one match. So I said,
Wow.
I mean, do we think he keeps his horses in Europe? Did he fly them from Argentina? like everyone was just draped in fur and like it was, we rented like the teeniest, tiniest little hotel room where there was like 4 of us in the room and it was still like $900 a night. Because it was San Moritz, Switzerland. But I was like, it was amazing. So there's like, we just always say yes. And it's like the fun of having friends in other places. I actually have a friend in Philly who once said to me that she was like upset with me that I didn't prioritize traveling with her. And I was like, I really appreciate that you say that. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And we can definitely like figure out some trips, but it's right now you're sitting in my house on a Wednesday and I'm making dinner and that's easy to do with you. Like I have all these other friends where somebody has to get on a plane to go somewhere. So it's just a lot of times it's easier to just plan a fun trip. And
when everybody has, Well, I think that that's part of why we always had so much fun also is because you like me are down for a lot of things and willing to like go try a lot of stuff. And so we sort of always would just go where the night took us without really thinking about it. Or go where the plans took us. And I remember that like 4th of July party you invited us to with your pool people. And it was in this like beautiful, gorgeous house. Oh. I mean, you were always like our entry into like luxury in Philly.
There's a joke that I like show up with +5 if you invite me anywhere.
Yes. Jen's going to show up with some other people that she thought would really enjoy where she was going, which I think is awesome. I think I personally got to go to a lot of really cool stuff and see some really beautiful houses and do all that because of things that you invited or hosted or introduced us to, right? Mm-hmm. I guess like that whole JBN crew, like after JHP, introduced us to a whole other group of people. And so I always just felt like we had somewhere to go or something to do if you wanted to. There was always something to be going to.
I think it's because I do. I just love to plan a good like gathering and have like an excuse. And I forgot that I would often convince other people to let me like host things at their house. Like,
yes.
Just
Jen was
house.
great at
I'll
throwing parties at other people's houses. Yes. I'll bring the people. I'll do this. You have a great house. And I think it would be really fun.
Yes, basically.
And you did, and it worked out. But we were always respectful. Like we didn't trash anywhere. We didn't do, We
Well, I
weren't
never
like that.
brought
but
anybody who was, in general, I don't hang out with people who are assholes, but I never brought anyone that was an asshole either. It was
And
always
then
a
you
cast of
started
characters.
having really fun parties at when you had your loft apartment. Is that the apartment you're still in?
No, I'm on Christian now. I gave up that apartment a while ago, which I loved that apartment, but it was beautiful space. But it was also up 3 flights of stairs and
it was like a hike. It was a hike to get to.
Every time you forgot something, it was like, oh God.
I do have to say that this is just random. I just thought of this, but I had an office where I worked that was right around the corner from Jen's apartment. And I worked in an office full of men. And I'm not going to go into details, but it was like a fishbowl. And they built the bathroom right in the middle of the office. Weird. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to the bathroom in the middle of this office, with all these guys around and clients. And so Jen was like, I'll give you a key to my apartment. And if you ever need to do anything during the day, you can just go. And I don't know if I ever did. I think I probably I hung out with you once or twice, but that's also the kind of friend you are. You're
I remember a couple Friday mornings when maybe Thursday was a little too hard and you just lying in bed with me because you're like, no one's at the office yet. I can lay down. I need a break.
I told them I'm going for coffee. I just need to lay here. But it was super convenient having you right around the corner, there.
That was still when I lived with Sarah.
Yeah.
All my roommates too.
So, and then also I got broken up with pretty bad one time. And
I think this is your favorite story to tell about me.
Well, let me just say, I was being cheated on and gaslit in a big way. And we were at dinner and he finally confessed. And I remember we had just ordered. And I called the waiter over and I said, I'll take all of that to go. And I took it all to go and I left him with the check in the restaurant and I went and dumped it in my car. And then I went and met everybody out at Latage, at the bar. And I remember I called my boss because I was working on the weekend at this boutique. And I said, I can't come in. I got dumped. It's not going to work out for me to come in this weekend. And she said, you can have Saturday off. And I said, fine. And so you and me and our friends, you guys packed me up. We went to Delaware. We had Mexican food and drowned our sorrows in margaritas.
Mexican was our comfort food. Let's start there. Mexican was our comfort food. So if something was wrong,
food.
Mexican food was needed. Why we went to Delaware, I have no idea, but
because she said they had the best Mexican. I don't know why.
Right,
I don't know why.
James used to live in Delaware, right? I forgot.
Yeah, loved this restaurant. And so, but then I remember we were back at your apartment. You let me wear this ring that I was like, this
I
is
thought
a
you were going to tell
ring.
the story about the at the table.
Oh, the sour cream? The sour cream on your face? All right, so I'll just say this real quick.
That's what I thought was you love to tell people that story.
Well,
I was on a diet at the time.
Jen was eating salad. We're stuffing our face with anything, tacos, chili rellenos, whatever. Jen's eating salad. And did you put a pepper on it? A jalapeno?
I was going through a phase where I used salsa as my salad dressing to spice up the salsa without having the salad without having any calories. So I put on what I thought was salsa, but it was a bottle of green hot sauce.
And all of a sudden, if smoke could literally come out of people's ears and nose and eyes and head, she was whoo, flaming. And she's looking around the table and there's nothing there. There's water. She's nothing. She took a chip, a tortilla chip, and dipped it in a hunk of sour cream and then smeared the chip of sour cream all across her face. And I have to say that the look of relief on your face, Jen, was priceless. She just sat there and was literally mouth dripping in sour cream, but it cooled it. And you were you were relieved.
Listen,
and you were just
dairy does work. Dairy does work when something's too hot.
It does. So that was also that weekend. That is a great memory that I have of you. But we went back to your apartment, and I remember, like, you know, we were like really into MAC makeup, and we did our makeup. And I even remember it was like the cranberry. It was like, I remember because I remember that you guys like put me together. And we got makeup on. Sarah let me wear her leather jacket, which in the end, she's like, I'm going to need that back. And I was like, yeah, okay.
And I had just gone through a phase with MAC where I had like gone and had them do my makeup and teach me how to do it. So I was like, this is how you take this brush and spread it this way.
Yeah. And you let me wear this ring of yours, and you also were like, I'm going to need that back. And I was like, okay. And then we went to go see Burnt Sienna, which was like our comfort cover band of the summer.
I don't even think we knew they were playing there. I think we just like, or we like happened to be like.
Was that a surprise?
It was either a surprise or someone happened to say like
last minute.
Burnt Sienna. And we're like, oh my gosh, they're playing at Fieldhouse, because it's not like Fieldhouse was in our like repertoire of places.
No,
that we went.
It
was a crap bar
under like in the station, or like in
Jefferson Station or whatever it was called at the time, Market East.
But we had such a good time. I have a picture of me covered in Burnt Sienna stickers, just like having a great time. And, you know, again, that was a time where I just needed my girlfriends to just be there and get me through that 24 hours.
Yeah, I remember. I think I had like
36 hours.
When you guys broke up, I feel like I had an event or something that night, because I remember getting like a phone call or a text from like Lindsay being like, you got to come as soon as you're done. Got to get to Latage. Alexis and Dave broke up. We got to go.
You got to get here. You have to.
I'm like, okay.
That was like a 911. Like, we need to get this girl. Like, we're gonna be gone this weekend.
How fun was Latage, though?
Cancel all your plans. How did we dance all night forever?
I don't know. In like heels too.
In heels. Danced all night in heels forever.
Yeah, like,
but we did.
But we used to go to Latage all the time. That was a good spot. It really was.
That was a great spot. We got into all the clubs and bars. Like when we were talking with George, I remember like we just could go anywhere. I can't believe how many clubs Philly has. Like so many.
They don't anymore, or I'm just not cool enough to know any of them anymore.
I think they probably shut down in COVID.
Probably. I don't know.
And yeah,
there's
we're
like,
just
well,
not
Old City used to have all of them, and then like, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm actually going to a Studio 52 themed birthday party tonight, and I'm like kind of a little. I'm like,
what are you gonna wear?
I think a sequin skirt that I have. Like, I don't know why I own a sequin skirt, but that's what I'm gonna go for. I haven't figured it out yet. I definitely have to like do it. And then,
I think the sequin skirt would be enough with like any kind of like cool shoe and a top.
Yeah, and my friend Lindsay, like she juices up my hair. Like, I don't know what she does, but So, you know, I'll have like the big hair, and we'll see. But I love a good theme party.
Yeah.
I just love a good party.
You do. So, getting back to like friendships. So, you give a lot to your friends. What do you think is probably like in the top few things that you do to really show people that you care, that they're important in your life?
I mean, yeah, showing up is one of them, but also just like remembering the little things. And sometimes I actually set myself reminders for like important things in people's lives, like that you could easily forget. Like someone has something on X day, and I'll put a little calendar reminder on my phone, like, hey, text Alexis to see how that went for her, or things like that. Because if you don't make the effort, that's how the friendships like fade. And, you know, if you make the efforts, people make the effort back. And it's like, it's also like only having people in your life that like fill your cup. We're too old right now for anybody who like doesn't fill your cup.
Have you found that some of those friendships have changed? Like some of the people, do they just kind of like drift off, or?
I think I've had some friendships that I've let naturally drift off for those reasons. And I'm kind of okay with that. Like, you know, life's short. We only have so much time, and we only have so much energy. And wasn't it Taylor Swift that said like energy is like our money or something? Like,
Yeah,
is your
currency for sure.
Yeah, whatever that interview was. But I was like, that's so true. Like, I just don't have the energy for like somebody who can't like give me the energy back.
Yeah. No, I think that that's really important, especially as we get older and our time seems more limited and more valuable.
Yeah. I mean, because even like I still have more time than the average person my age because I don't have like 3 kids and I'm running to all the different schedules and stuff. But like, I still value the time. And also, like, I do find that I need a little bit more recharge. Like, just like my social battery isn't as like, like it's not that I'm tired, but like before where I could do like nonstop simulation of like plan to plan to plan to plan to plan. I like do need that like couch time of, or like being a geek and like doing my jigsaw puzzles or things like that. But I have to build in that time. Like, and I'll say no to plans of people that don't fill my cup.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to say, because I know you've said a few times, like, you know, I don't have like kids or all that stuff. And I think that normalizing like people having full lives who don't have kids or anything like that is really important, because your time and all that is just as valuable as somebody who does. And I think that you know, it feels like the role that friends have played in your life is really like your family and your companions and all these things. And so, you know, those take it's a different kind of effort, but they take just as much effort and thought and consideration and time and planning as somebody who doesn't have any friends but has 3 kids. It's just different. It's like different brain work, but it doesn't mean that you have like all this time where you're just like twiddling your thumbs, you know, like sitting around. And it is valuable. So,
but that's also why I'm traveling all the time, because I do like, that's where I want to spend my time. It's not that kids didn't happen for me. I always knew that I didn't want kids. So like, that's where I put my time, and that's where I like, that's what I prioritize. And I'm lucky that I have girlfriends that I can pick up and travel and do that with.
Yeah. No, I think that's
And I never plan in advance. It's always Jen and I were, who's like my number one travel partner in crime. We were in St. Thomas last week, and somebody we both used to work with was also down there for a family vacation. And she's like, I know you guys never plan, but where's your next trip? We're like,
like, where is our next trip? Where are we going?
We planned Bali and like Singapore in like a week, like 3 weeks before we left. So like, that's how we roll.
Where is your next trip?
I don't know. I really don't.
Where do you want to go?
That probably like, I want to figure out doing Africa, because that hasn't like, because Southeast Asia was on the bucket list. And so like doing Vietnam, Bali, and Singapore this summer was like a big check mark. So I'm running, this sounds a little ridiculous, but I'm running out of my must-see places. And I feel like South Africa is like I know.
Not a bad problem to have. You're going to have to repeat some things. I
had to reapply for my global entry the other night. And they're like, list all the countries you've been to since 2021. I was like, God damn.
Like, can't you guys just check? I don't know. All of them.
And I was like at a friend's house, so I didn't even have my passport on me to like go through like the books, but I'm like, hope I got it right.
Right.
Like as I'm putting it, it's like, oh wait, shoot, I forgot I was in Italy.
I did my global entry too, and I don't even know why, because I haven't gone anywhere. I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful that I will. I just need to keep it.
I mean, it's free with your like credit card. You might as well, because when I came back from Budapest in March, from wheels down, because I texted someone as I landed, till I got to my front door was 38 minutes because of global entry.
Nuts. That's awesome.
Just I walked right through. The way they have the face scan these days, you walk right through. I walked right into a cab. I do not even bother with lifts when I get home, and I'm so close to the airport. 38 minutes.
That's amazing. So when we moved up to the suburbs here from LA, we used to live right near LAX. And when we moved, now we're very far from LAX. After this next chapter of our lives. Like that is definitely high on the priority, as being close to an airport where it makes it like very easy to come in and out, because we took that for granted a lot. And now I'm like, oh, it adds so much extra time and makes it like kind of, just like not
There's
enjoyable.
Nothing worse when you get home. Like when you get home, you just want to like be home. That's why
You don't want to have like hours of journey ahead of you.
I don't
when
even
you
want to
land.
bother with like waiting for a Lyft or an Uber for 10 minutes.
Right.
Like I just roll right into the cabs that are lined up, because it's just like, take me home, please. I'm off the plane.
I miss a
I want
good
to get
cab.
home. I want to shower. I brought them back in Philly. My friend Kathy, really, I should not take credit for this by any means. Sorry. Kathy has brought them back in our group of friends, because there is a Get Taxi app that you can call just the way Uber and Lyft, and then you avoid all the like surcharges.
Oh, I miss a good cab. Can you believe we used to get into cabs with strangers with no like way to track where we were or who we're with, and we were just like totally fine.
Yeah. There was always some crazy cab story, but I have like, I should tell the story. Never mind.
We'll save that for maybe like an after show or something.
Yeah, the after show when you remind me as who called and complained about you to JHP.
Oh my, yeah, I'll let you know. That'll be in the second one. So, what do you think you really value the most in a friend?
The easiest to just like to be with, to talk to just like show up. The friends whose like houses I feel like are my home. Like Dan and Katie I talk about, who are a block away. They're part of my village. Dan was away this week. Katie had to be in the office on Monday, so they like asked me to pick up their daughter. And she's like, I'll pay you back with dinner. And I was like, it's Monday night. I come for dinner anyway.
How are you going to be there?
Yeah, so I bring their daughter home. We start like watching TV, and Katie's like chatting me like, can you take the bolognese out of the fridge next time you go up to the kitchen? It's in this pan. And I was like, I love how you think I haven't already checked out everything that's in your fridge.
Like I've already seen what the plan is for dinner that you have for us.
I also looked to see what takeout leftovers you had, like what I want to steal. Like, I think that's funny. You think I haven't already been in your fridge.
That's so funny.
So
I think that is creating like an environment where you just feel so welcome.
Yeah, where I don't feel like it's just easy for me like to be in your home with you. Like I was doing that with like Steph the other day too. I was out at her house with her girls, and I actually got there before Steph, and I was like, wait, are you not home yet? She's like, yeah, the babysitter's there. I was like, okay, so I should let the babysitter go? Do I have to pay her or anything? But like the girls, I'm just like, hey girls, like what's going on? It's those friends that it like just feel like family, and that are just easy to be around. You can like ask those favors of like, even like, I dealt with something hard recently, and I texted Steph. I was like, it was Thanksgiving week, and I was like, I know it's Thanksgiving week. I know like she has 3 young girls, and I was like, I really need you to come down. And she's like, okay, let me talk to Jeff and figure out like the schedule. I'll let you know when I'm coming, because it's like having those friends that when you say, hey, I'm not okay, they figure it out. That's a last minute ask when you have your kids' schedules planned out like on a holiday week. That's a big ask, but she didn't even blink. She just showed up.
Well, and I think that's because that's how you show up.
If that's the case, great. Then I'm doing the right thing, so that like when I need it, like I get it back because I needed it that week.
I've been listening to this podcast a lot over the last year called Diary of a CEO. And there's a lot of really cool information, but they put out these conversation cards, and I got them just to see there's like questions you can ask to either get to know people or open people up, or just get to kind of ask more intentional, meaningful questions. So I picked a few for you. So I'm going to ask them for you.
So I get to pass?
You can. So the first one is, what would you do if you absolutely weren't afraid of either the outcome or like doing it? Like, is there something that you would want to do if there was like no fear involved?
I feel like I'm living that right now because I'm like in this career transition and I really like want to go out on my own and I'm just like afraid of doing it.
You should start some kind of connecting business. We should brainstorm that.
Okay, we can definitely brainstorm it because like I feel like I have like all the pieces and I just don't know like how to pull it together of like being a consultant or like doing things like that. But yeah, doing that and like to be, I guess being my own, it involves being my own boss and I'm afraid for whatever reason and I don't know why.
What's the worst that could happen?
Failure, and I'm afraid of failure always. And I should just get over that, like, because, you know, to the point, my friends will probably pick me up if that's the case.
Yeah, and you could always go back to doing whatever, you know, you were doing before.
Yeah, it's true. It's probably true, but yeah, but if it was this type of situation where like money was no object, I would be like a travel planner for everybody. Like if I didn't didn't have to worry about actually like supporting my lifestyle of, I shouldn't say worry. If I didn't need to support my lifestyle of travel, I would just like book travel all day long for people and figure out their travel. Let me put together your itinerary. Oh, let me figure out this. Like, let me do that. Like, I don't know why I like weirdly love it.
All right. So I'll brainstorm some ideas for you too.
Okay.
We'll keep that in back burner.
We can do like a separate non-recorded session and like talk about my life,
something,
how to monetize that.
So the second question is, what was the most valuable lesson you learned this past year?
These are hard questions, Alexis.
I know, they're a little deep. I'm sorry. Or any kind of lesson, maybe not the most valuable, but a lesson that you learned this last year.
It's not a lesson, but it was more a reminder that like to trust my instinct. Like my instinct is something that like has never steered me wrong. Like it's never steered me wrong. And like something was happening earlier this year that like my instinct told me to like walk away and I didn't. Like I didn't right away and I should have like walked away sooner. And I think that is like something I have to like remind myself of, like trust your instinct. And it was funny. This is like such a stupid like example of it. But when I was in St. Thomas, for once I was looking to like come home a couple days early because I was like, I had a bunch of stuff going on before I left. And I was like, if you come home early, you have to like the weekend to reset and like hit the ground Monday running. And a friend of mine down there was like, no, you don't want to do that. Like you're here already. Da, 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 da. And like, she was really pushing me not to. And I was like, my instinct is telling me to go home. I'm going to go home. Well, if I hadn't gone home, I would have been caught in Venezuela. I would have been caught in the Venezuela, like, airspace shutdown. And it would have been a nightmare to get home. It's a silly.
Well, I'm glad you got home. So you trusted your instinct and you left.
I trusted my instinct and I reset for the weekend and I did like hit the ground running this week rather than like not getting home till like late Monday night. That would have been a waste on Tuesday. And like, I would have like been like just catching up on life Wednesday.
If you were even able to get home.
If I was, yeah, exactly. My flight that I was booked on said it was like diverted to Miami or something. So who knows?
Well, I'm sure you could have made a time there too.
Yeah.
Do you have friends in Miami?
I don't think I have friends in Miami.
Not yet.
You know, not yet. I was going to say, I always make new friends. You never know. Like I seem to like come up with new friends every year. That would be an interesting thing to look back on and like see.
You should map your friends in the world
by year,
like a world map,
or just like by the groups or stuff like that. My 40th birthday, the boat was late to pick up for the actual party, and we kind of loaded really quickly. And we're out in the water, and the captain came up to me and was like, "I forgot to do a head count." And I was like, and people were like snorkeling and stuff like that. It's kind of an important thing. Like, do we have everyone before the boat leaves again? And I was like, well, good news. There's everyone's a group. So like, I'll just tell each group, like, make sure your crew's with you before we leave.
That's too funny.
Yeah, but it's like when in life they showed up, because you pick them up along the way as well as life changes and you're in different spots. It was really silly when we were in Girl Scouts of like make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. They're not wrong.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Like back to the brownie.
So this last one is a little deep. I know you thought the other ones were deep. This one's could be a little deep. But who is someone in your village right now that deserves a really big thank you? And if you were to give it to them, what would you say?
So this is actually like, it's not that deep, but the funny thing is I kind of like, I can't say it to just one. Like I have like three big thank yous right now, I want to say. No, I have a few. So, without going into it, like Alexis, obviously, I've been through it the last 2 months with some stuff in my life. And like when I called Steph and I was like, I need you to come down. And she did not even hesitate. Like Caitlin, who like gave birth in the middle of it, like her still being there for me. When like when the incident was like happening, like Katie, like I called her and she was like immediately there, and like the people checking on me along the way, like making sure I was okay and like encouraging me to do certain things. Like like those top three, I would say right there for sure. Like right now, the big thank yous I think would be like Caitlin's, like Steffi and Katie. I guess by extension, Dan gets it too. He'll laugh at that if he listens to it. But, so like, and I don't hesitate for a second to realize how lucky I am that that's like my response, that I can't just like say one.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful. And I think it's a good reminder that even if, because when you're going through it and you're in these moments, you're obviously not going to like, you might say like, thanks for coming or all these things. But I think to make a point after the moment has passed and things have settled to really think about it and share with our friends how important it was for us that they showed up for us. I think just to share that gratitude with them is really important for both parties. For you to internalize that gratitude and for you to acknowledge them in those moments and for them to be seen for how they showed up, just reminds us of why we need to do more of that in our life, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if it's important to just show up. I was saying that to like my friend Jen, when actually one of our friends in St. Thomas, her father passed away and the funeral was in Columbia, South Carolina, which like to get there last minute, it actually isn't really. And like Jen and I were kind of texting all day, like we'll talk tonight, we'll figure it out. And like we got on the phone that night and we figured out the logistics. I didn't realize it was so close to Charlotte. We could just fly through Charlotte. And at the time I was working for a company in Charlotte. So I was like, great, I'll get a hotel Sunday night. I'll go to the Charlotte office like Monday. Like we figured it out really quickly. But then in person when we were like checking in, she's like, I just wasn't sure of the logistics, if we were coming. I was like, no, these are the times you just show up. Like, like Margaret is like one of our closest friends in St. Thomas. We basically like lived with her for a long period of time. Like her father died. You show up. Like it's what you do. Because that's when like friends need it the most. And like unfortunately you're part of the Dead Fathers Club too. Like, you need that support when it happens.
Yeah. Well, I think we all would hope that we would be those people in those moments, but I think it's a good reminder to check in with ourselves to say, how are we really showing up for the people in our lives? And just to remember how important that is for us and for them. So I think that's really great. Is there anything else that you want to say about friendships or relationships before that you thought maybe we would talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, I do love those, like, reaching out and connecting with old friends is fantastic. We've talked over the years, but with you moving to California, I think we've definitely like drifted a bit, but like, I do love, like I said earlier, like that we just picked up where we left off when we got to dinner. And I think that sometimes
I had so much fun at that dinner. And it was
so
kind of,
much
I was
fun
telling them, I
too.
was like, I've seen you via Zoom,
Yeah.
for like my wedding and for different things that happened over COVID and my bachelor party, like different things that
Yeah.
were so fun. And during COVID, we used to have like wine nights and all these things.
Yeah.
And then, I sort of retreated after my daughter was born. I just like wasn't,
Yeah,
available
it happens.
in the way. And now I'm coming back and I'm trying to like reconnect and do all these things that I know are super important for the people that have been like, that are core parts of my life, that I
So,
want to
like, but
continue to have.
I think what's important for people, like, you shouldn't hesitate. Like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a while. Like, should I
That's
reach
really
out or
important.
not? Like, more times than not, that person is like happy that like you reached out. Like, you weren't like, ugh. No, you're like, great, dinner. Okay, let me talk to Lee. Let me figure out the schedule. Like, where, when, let's do this.
Yeah, it wasn't a hesitation. I was like, okay, Jen's going to be out here. I didn't even know George was living out here. I thought he was still in San Francisco. He had just moved.
newish.
And I was like, I'm definitely like, I just need to know, you guys just need to tell me when I need to be able to drive there. So just like, it needs to be at a time. I was so pumped to like go and see you guys. And I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of times people let too much time go by because they assume that that person's going to be like mad at them or that it's going to be really awkward. And I would just say, just give it a chance. I mean, how the other person responds, you can't really control. But I think more often than not, they are probably thinking the same thing and would be so happy to hear from a friend, especially when you did share, so many fun times together.
Yeah. And make those Chardonnay plans. Like, just because you're a little tipsy making plans doesn't mean that you can't follow up and be like, hey, like, let's do that.
Right. Gosh, I've made so many Chardonnay plans. But I think that's such a good point. Like, make the Chardonnay plans. Just make them. Just do them. Because I don't think after hanging out, anyone's ever like, oh, well, that was a big waste of my time. Mostly you're like, that was such a good time.
We only have so many like years on this planet. Like, it's better to be like out and interacting than sitting at home and, not doing anything. Like, go out, socialize, and you'll never think about. I don't think there's, off the top of my head now, there's very few plans, or I can't even think of a plan that I'm like, why did I do that? Or if I have, I like forgot about it. Like, But yeah, make those Chardonnay plans and only hang out with people that fill your cup.
Good advice. That's great advice. Yeah. That's great advice.
Show up.
And show up.
People need it.
Well, I am so excited. I am planning a trip for this towards the end of February. So hopefully that will happen and I'll get to see everybody face to face and for a little bit.
Let me know how I can help plan it.
Yeah. But I really want to thank you for sort of putting yourself out there and joining me on this project and being willing to share your thoughts and go down memory lane with me a little bit. I think like being nostalgic is also brings me so much joy. Because I'm
excited to like listen to your episodes and like hear. Like, I know you like had Ian on. I'm like excited to listen to that. Like, didn't you say you're having Shannon? Like, I'm like,
Shannon.
Oh right, Shannon. I forgot about her. And now like,
that's
I'm
what I was
new
saying,
friends
like,
that I don't know, and I'm
that
like,
you don't know, but you know of.
Insight to Alexis's new life, or
right?
Well,
I think I don't know who is going to listen to this or how many people are going to listen to this, but I thought at the very least it will be a time capsule for all of us to sort of remember these times and to have, sort of, I mean, you have all the proof in your pictures.
You should definitely make
I'm going to talk to George when we have dinner.
Because you think that I like have a million friends and connections? Like he like, and I'll tell him that I totally like put him on blast for him to do it. Like he no. Like,
well, he moves city to city and like for someone who's new in a city, he really seems to like adapt pretty quickly by like throwing himself into stuff. So I would love for him to come on and share his experience of that, because I think a lot of people can relate to being new in a community.
And he'll do it, like, you guys can do it in person too, because it's like you're close enough. But like, oh yeah, definitely make George do this. And he like blows me out of the water for the way his connections are and whatnot. And like have him have like somebody call in, like one of his best friends, like Dan or something. And like
that would be funny. Well, I'll talk to him. We're having dinner in like 2 weeks.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, I'm seeing him this weekend, so I'll tell him I like nominated him already.
Yes. Yes. You can tell him and then we'll talk about it. Well, I really want to thank you for doing this again. It was so nice to be able to even have this like hour and a half to just look at each other and talk. And we don't get to do that very often.
I'm excited to see the slideshow of photos you like chose too.
I know. Some of them, one of them I really loved. It's when we ran into each other at the Counting Crows concert in Atlantic City.
Oh my goodness. I was with my cousin.
And you just happened to be there. Yeah. And I was like, Jen. And so even when we didn't mean to meet up, like I feel like I just ran into you. Oh, and then I didn't even talk about like we finished the Philly marathon together. Like we ran the marathon.
We can't give ourselves full credit. It was the Broad Street Run. That was only 10 miles. Not
the Broad Street Run. It was the half marathon. The Broad Street Run.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, my body felt like I ran a marathon after that.
I know. Well, it's like a rite of passage in Philadelphia. Like, yeah, we took off and we didn't even realize we ended up like running together the whole time.
Yeah, well, we found each other like midway and then we finished together.
Yeah, it was great. I think that was my first time running too. That was right after I'd like gone through
I haven't run since.
My health craze.
I haven't run since then. I coasted on that training body for a long time and I just never really ran again.
Every once in a while I'm like, ooh, I should run, and then I like do it once. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Nah, I did it. Been there, done that. Check. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a really beautiful rest of your day and your week.
Thank you. It was fun.
And I will definitely talk to you soon and definitely talk to George.
Yes, I will. I'll tell him he's doing it. I'll just tell him it's happening.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
If this episode inspired you to reach out to someone or make a new connection, we would love to hear about it. Please send us a message or drop us a comment on our Instagram at Village in Progress Podcast, or you can drop a comment on our YouTube channel at Village in Progress Pod. And if you would like to hear more of our episodes, please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe and follow wherever you listen and watch. From our village to yours, thank you so much for listening. Keep connecting, growing, and let's build something meaningful together. Talk to you next week.